Good morning, guys. I'm Jim Hicks of RSC Sports. Welcome to my special Halloween edition of the video VIP news. And of course, yeah, this is my costume. Who am I right now? Some things you don't even have to say who am I. I tell you who am I. You follow me? This Halloween on Cheat Street. You follow me? This is Jim Hicks. Happy Halloween, guys. I'm Freddy Krueger right now. That's from Jimmy Krueger. So you see I got the brim, the striped shirt, and of course the claws that go with it. And guess what? You know, I got something I want to give you guys. Give you a little history lesson today. And of course that's in regard to the magazine, since that's what I'm working on. We just finishing up with the magazine. It's getting ready to go to the printer as we speak, so I'm feeling real good about everything. I thought I'd take you to the magazine. You know what this is? This is the very first issue of the magazine. The very first issue of the magazine. And of course, this is back in 2004. What made this issue so popular was in the fact that it had life all the way through the season. What I mean by had life all the way through the season, we printed this thing in November of 2004. 2004. Well, a lot of stuff was going on in the city. We had Daniel Gibson, Juwan McClellan, you know, which one of those guys would be the best one in the city, who would go. Well, they both, one was 5A, one was 4A. Well, so what I did, I included it, I put them at the bottom, and the theme of this year's, this cover was, who's number one? And we had 4 high schools. This is the first and only time that I had high schools on the front cover of the magazine. So what did I have? Of course, I had Jones High School, Milby High School, Hightower High School, and Kingwood High School. Jones, Milby, Hightower, and Kingwood. Well, start off, Jones went and won the state championship. So this magazine, who's number one, was the theme of it. Well, that was obvious because that means in March, everybody was holding a copy because this was the first one. Now, I mean, think about it. We came a long way, and haven't we all? But Milby won the state championship in 5A with Juwan McClellan. Juwan is down here. Daniel Gibson is down here. So understand what I'm saying, the connection. So these are 2 state champions. Now I projected this thing, my very first swing. I basically think we hit it right over the fence, dead center with this cover. Hightower and Kingwood both advanced to the regional tournament, and of course they lost to Milby. Think about it. So couldn't but one of these 3 teams go and win state, and it ended up being Milby. So that's what made this first cover so doggone popular, man. And then I'm gonna tell you guys a story inside of here that's really it's probably my best story that I ever did. I mean, for real. And this is the first story. What I did was it was an article called "The Old School versus the New School." This article was something else. It took me 10 pages worth of writing. I don't know how I got this thing done, guys, but I basically thought of the top 8 high school state champions from this city of all time. And I imaginarily drew up a tournament in which they all had to play each other. And in that tournament, of course, I tell you those schools, it was the Wheatley class of 1970 versus Beaumont Ozan from class of 2001, the Willow Ridge class of 2000 versus the LaPorte class of 1987, the Cashmere class of 1975, and the Waltrip class of 1998, Port Arthur Lincoln class of 1986, and the Madison class of 1985. And man, I'm talking about, I went and did all my homework and research and went through this thing, and it was an amazing feat in regarding this magazine, this thing. And I'm telling you guys, unbelievable story regarding this. What started it all off. Now, this was the first issue. And I'll take you guys through the rest of it. This was an issue number 2. And you see on the front cover, we had a different guy. This was the all-city team. The first time we ever did that. It was a great response from the community. So we took that and did it again. And of course, this theme was Houston is on fire. We had a fire truck, and when it did the photo shoot, it was awesome. This was a thick one. I think it was the first time that we went and touched right at 100 pages for the magazine. This thing, it was really popular in regard to that. Then came 2006. 2006 was a heck of a class, and you're talking about, we had a couple of McDonald Americans, I think, on this class. Well, take that back. We had one because DeAndre Jordan was ineligible for the McDonald game. This was a hot issue right here. 2007 was the climax of the Tommy Mason Griffin era, but at the same time, I missed one thing in regard to another magazine I'll tell you about in a minute. But the Tommy Mason Griffin era, this launched it off, and of course Jesse Sanders was on fire. Was the first homeschool kid to ever grace the cover of the magazine. That made this popular. Going over to 2008, Tommy Mason Griffin was on the cover again. You had Ray Turner. It was a good era. This is the issue. This is the era right before there was beef, and John Urey started that beef in regard to who was the better guard out of Tommy Mason Griffin and Ray Penn. And I suggest you guys go today and Google Super 16 Tommy Mason Griffin versus Ray Penn. That was at Chavez High School. That may have been one of the most classic of all games in the history of the Super 16s, guys. That was classic. These guys combined for about 9 consecutive shots, maybe 10 consecutive shots in a row. It got to the point where the rest of the teams moved the hell out the way and said, y'all just play one-on-one full court. You can't do no layups, nothing but jumpers, nothing but three-pointers. And it was crazy. That's what's this for this year right here. That was an awesome year. This is a blast through the prayer. This copy right here is special. This is probably my most sentimental front cover magazine of all time. And that's because this is the only front, this is the second front cover. It was one of 2, but this is the last time that we got a chance to see Toby Oyediji. Toby was on this cover going into his senior season. And remember, Bel Air got eliminated on the inbound pass by Bush High School, which Bush proceeded to go and win the state title. And this was really, really, really sentimental because Toby was definitely one of the top players, one of the best persons to ever play high school basketball in this era. This was a classic issue right here. 2009, that year was. So fast forward 2010. A lot of these guys are still in college right now. It's 2014 as we enter. Of course, we had L.J. Rose, who's at U of H right now. Terran Petaway. He is not a sleeper. He was a front cover of the magazine. You can't be a damn sleeper when you're on the front cover of the magazine, guy. So I wish some of you people stop letting people take your city for granted and make it seem like they found your players. You knew about Terran Petaway. This Galveston ball team had Mike Evans on that team as well. And these guys advanced all the way to the regional championship, and they got upset by Julian Lewis and the Lamar Cougars. Now, Julian Lewis actually went to Galveston ball in the 9th grade. Well, just imagine how nasty that would have been had he stayed at Galveston ball. But also we have Sheldon McClellan, who's at Miami right now. Rashid Suleiman's at Duke. Cameron Ridley's at University of Texas. And of course, D'Angelo Harrison, who's entering his senior season over at St. John's. This was a classic issue right here, because this right here could be, we could have, damn near everybody on this thing could be in the NBA if they keep working at it in a couple of years. That could be a first, then that would make this a classic front cover. Hey, fast forward to the next one. And this is the 9th issue right here. This was in the year 2011. 2011, this was the most players that we've ever had on the front cover of the magazine. And that's because the class of 2012 was arguably one of the greatest classes that we've ever had from out of the city in regard to D1 prospects. It was too hard to just narrow this thing down to 6, 7 kids. So how many we had on this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good God, 11 players on the front cover of the magazine. But it ended up working out, and this was the year the NBA had the lockout. So the theme was, what lockout? They had the little chains going across. That was a hell of a thing. Prop to my guy, Rod Haynes, and with his concept in regarding it. That was a great concept when we thought about the what lockout. Now, the next issue was in 2010. And this was the 10th anniversary issue. So this was all, anytime it's an anniversary, it always makes it special. But the thing that got me in regard to this, you had 2 guys that were All-American in football that happened to be on the front cover of the magazine. and that's Ricky Seals Jones, who's right now at University of Texas A&M, and of course Derek Griffin, who committed to Miami, but now he's over at Texas Southern, red shirt. This will be his red shirt freshman year. He'll be eligible to play next season at TSU. Yes, TSU. This dude's gonna wreck the SWAC. I hope the other coaches in the SWAC understand what they have on the shelf and what's going to be on the field next year. Because he would definitely be playing 2 sports. That's a very rare thing. But Derek Griffin is one of the few players that can excel and make all conference in both sports, in basketball and football. Who was the last player? Hell, who was the last player? When last time a player made all conference in football and basketball in Division I? You guys look it up and email it to me. That's going to be interesting. And whoever can give me the answer to that, then remind me now in the email. And the first person to give me the answer to that, I got passes to the season opener. And the last year's magazine, of course, was the 11th issue. And this was the one from this past year that was probably the most creative front cover that we've ever did. We created the movie theater scene. And Justice Winslow, Justin Jackson. It had 4 McDonald's All-Americans on this front cover. 4 McDonald's All-Americans from one city. 2 girls, 2 boys. And of course, this is definitely one to remember. And so that means this year's front cover of the magazine and the issue is probably going to be, probably going to be the most read, the most held. I mean, it's going to probably be the most fingerprinted issue that you guys will ever get. And that is because it's going to have more articles than the last 2 issues combined. You're going to have plenty to read. And that's the good thing about it. So definitely, the magazine will be released November the 17th at the season opener. And that will take place at the Campbell Center. Get your tickets for the season opener. There are limited $5 tickets on all the campuses of all the games that will be played. 5 games for only $5. And once again, guys, as you guys get ready to go into your day, to your weekend, have a safe weekend. Let me go into my candy dish. It's Halloween. What you expect? I'm not going to wait around here and keep no candy for these kids. What I got? Of course. What else I got? Look at my shirt. It's peppermint. You know what I'm saying? Peppermint. Red, white, red, white. But you got to coordinate even with the candy. I don't stop. Hey, happy Halloween, guys. Be good.